vetoes the education bill voucher program there in Wisconsin regarding school expansion. Here's the primary reason why. He said that he vetoed the bill because it would have forced the state of Wisconsin into a national voucher school program, which the key word there is forcing them, and then into the national program. That means it's probably going to be tied to what the current administration wants to have happen. And Linda McMahon, I'm just going to say it to her face, doesn't know what she's doing as the quote-unquote Secretary of Education. Pennsylvania governor candidate Stacey Garrity says this one may, I don't think anything they do anymore, Henry, shocks anybody. It just grabs your attention. But just check this out, y'all. Garrity says the GOP was correct to let health care tax credits expire. What are you going to do, write a check, Stacey, to the people that need the coverage and the care? I mean, if the GOP was correct, then that means y'all need to take some responsibility, because millions of Americans, including your constituents, benefit from the ACA. I mean, I've learned a lesson from our good friend Karen Byrne. We don't have to quote unquote apologize or preempt the imperfections of our party, because we're not the ones causing the problems. It's like I said yesterday when I was talking with Corbin Trent. Yeah, Dems done their, we know what we've done, but it's the Republicans that are the weight that's dragging us down. That's clear. It's evident. So Stacey Garrity, who's running for governor, you don't deserve to be governor of Pennsylvania. When you're going to say that the Republicans, the GOP, see, this is why, again, you guys may want to tease me about this when I say it's not Trump or just Trump, the administration and the cabinet. It's the entire GOP of voters or the GOP candidates. Because if you're a why would you say something like that if you're running for governor of what, the sixth largest state in the country? Why would you say that about the people that in your state need those benefits? What is wrong with you to say something like that? She says they were congressional Republicans were absolutely correct to let the premium tax credits for the Affordable Care Act expire. Go get your checkbook then, Stacey Garrity. Go get your checkbook. Because the folks there in Pennsylvania are suffering or struggling because of that, and you're endorsing it. So this is why, circling back, I say it isn't always just the folks that are in Washington. It isn't always just the president or the cabinet or the administration. It's all of them. And she wants to be governor of one of my favorite states, and one of the states it's one of the largest states in the country. No, unacceptable. Iowa, it was just disclosed that their state police or Iowa State patrols were helping ICE arrest truckers at weigh stations. I mean, how creepy is that? Henry, you've been on the road for 6 or 8 hours. You're tired. And again, here's that thing. My father used to use this phrase. I've said it before. If you got it, the truck brought it. And many of you probably have dads or uncles or moms or aunts or whatever that use that phrase because they're of a certain age and generation. Okay. So now in Iowa, we've got truckers, or we've got truckers in Iowa passing through, whatever the case may be, probably, Henry, trying to deliver something to people that need it somewhere in the country, whether it be in Iowa or another state. Been on the road for 6-8 hours. And now Iowa State Patrol is helping ICE to arrest or detain truckers. Come on, y'all. I mean, seriously. If they are here without the proper documentation, I'm not going to reference them as illegals. I was at the Online News Association conference yesterday and learned some new words, improperly documented migrants rather than illegal immigrants. I learned that yesterday. Thank you to Nikita Patel and her team inviting me and having me be a part of the audience. It was cool, but I learned that unproperly documented is a word that they use, and I'll delve into that more in the days and weeks to come. But ultimately, the Iowa cops or the Iowa State Patrol is now helping ICE arrest and detain and arrest. And these are people, and then you may wonder, so why didn't a small business? This is again, I don't mean to oversimplify things, but I just sort of look at it in a practical sense. So now you got guys and gals that are delivering goods to small businesses, whatever that might be, groceries, it might be, household, whatever it might be. And they're getting detained because ICE is trying to get people that are truck drivers and potentially arrest them. And they don't know going in. So how are they getting the information? Then that small business doesn't get the supplies that they need. And then the neighborhood that it serves doesn't get to serve the neighborhood that it needs to serve. I know it's an oversimplification of it, but that's why, these kinds of actions are just unacceptable. But that's that's what ICE is now doing reportedly in Iowa. And one last one, the former governor in Kentucky is delaying child support hearing by asking the Kentucky Supreme Court to remove a judge. A hearing last Friday over whether former Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin's estranged son, Jonah Bevin, is entitled to child support or educational assistance has been postponed by Bevins because he wants a judge removed. In other words, he wants to cook the books when it comes to how this is going to be heard in court. For what? To do what? Not pay the child support that was probably ordered by a court when he and the child's mother divorced, separated, whatever the case may be. So he doesn't want to pay child support. This is happening in Kentucky. You can find all of those articles and more in-depth reading of them at heartlandsignal.com. So make your way over to Heartland Signal. I tell you, there's good stuff there. I can't write this stuff this fast. These guys are good. Our team is good. So make your way over to Heartland Signal. You can get more in-depth reading of the articles and check out some of the video posts that are there as well. On today's show, John Parker, who's going to be hanging out with us in a little bit. John Parker is the host of the Gaily Show, weeknights 10 p.m. here on WCPT. And then in 7 o'clock hour, it's Wednesday. So Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be hanging out with us, and he and I will chop it up. And then Professor Robert Pape, political science professor at the University of Chicago, specializing in international security affairs. And he and I will be talking about most likely this war. But we're also going to talk a little bit about his Substack and some things that he's written. So I want to be, I'm looking forward to chatting with him in the 7:30 hour. So there you go, guys. John will be with us, Kurt will be with us, and Professor Pape will be with us on today's show. Let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu on WCPT AM 820 here in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM. Excuse me, AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-1509. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-1509. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-1509 or biglou.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us. I'm going to have a question for you in a minute, but first we're going to hit you with a couple of quick Chew's Views news items on this April 1st, a.k.a. April Fool's Day, 2026. Defunding PBS and NPR was unconstitutional, a court rules. A federal court yesterday struck down part of the presidential order that cut off federal funds for National Public Radio and the Public Broadcasting Service. The directive amounted to unconstitutional discrimination, according to U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss, and issued an injunction to prevent the federal government from permanently blocking funding to both enterprises. Yesterday's ruling follows a May 2025 legal action brought by an NPR and PBS that accused the federal government of violating their rights under the First Amendment. Wall Street is close to marking a worrisome milestone. U.S. stocks are about to close out their worst quarter in almost 4 years. 4 years, y'all. So for all of you who said, oh, my 401k is doing great, let's keep Donald Trump in office, brace yourself. Investors are increasingly batting around the dreaded R word, also known as recession, and the Middle East conflict and its attendant surge in energy prices is also driving up this concern. The question now is just how bad the fallout can get. If prolonged conflict means we never get any more oil out of the Gulf, we will absolutely have a global recession, and that's coming from JP Morgan's asset management team. Outdated career advice needs to be changed in the era and age of AI. Career advice hasn't caught up to how fast work is changing thanks to AI. Nearly a quarter of job skills changed globally between 2015 and 2022, and that figure could jump to 70% by 2030. Nearly 90% of C-suite leaders now say AI adoption is urgent, yet most workers are still navigating careers with outdated playbooks built for stable jobs with linear paths. Consumer confidence rises despite some inflation concerns. Consumer confidence rose beyond analyst estimates in March, and that's from data that came out yesterday. Americans exhibited modestly more positive perspectives on the state of business and the overall job market, but remain cautious compared to recent years as it relates to inflation. And last but not least, tied into that same conversation, gas prices have topped $4 in the U.S. for the first time, the average gas price since 2022. A gallon of gas topped $4 yesterday for the first time, squeezing American consumers as the war in Iran continues to roil energy markets. According to AAA, the average cost of a gallon is now $4.18 per gallon. It's the highest level since Russia invaded Ukraine. Interesting thing about wars and what they do to oil supply and other resources. All right, guys, there you go. A couple of quick Chew's Views news items on this April 1st, April Fool's Day, whatever you want to call it, 2026. So, question that we've got rumbling around here in the studio, in the station, is we got a couple of them for you guys for the rest of this week, but this is the one we're going to hit you with today. So we know that Trumpster, Trumpy, El Donnie Boy, the non-Donster, Every now and again, guys, I go there because I'm just so tired of him and his band of merry idiots in their clown car. But he's going to give an update on the Iran war. And so the question that, I'd like to hear from you guys on and consider you guys contemplating and then giving us a call or text, but most certainly go to our Facebook page and leave us your thoughts, is this. What do you think that Donald Trump will actually say tonight with his Iran update? What do you think he'll actually say? What position do you think he'll take? Do you think there'll be any new information that he discloses? Do you think there'll be any surprises that he'll present to us? Might he throw us a curveball and surprise us with a new strategy or a strategy at all? But I'd like to know we'd like to know what you guys think that Donald Trump will say tonight in his Iran update. Give us a call at 773-763-9278. Send us a text to that same number. You also can go to our Facebook page and leave your comments there because we'd like to be able to grab those and share them with folks and post them, of course. So let us know. What do you think that the Donster will say tonight when it comes to his Iran update? Let us know. All right, I'm going to circle back to this, two of the stories, or certainly one of the stories with regard to the Pennsylvania governor, Stacey Garrity. And this is an article over at Heartland Signal. When I have said on so many occasions, and I'll say it again on so many occasions, that the Republicans are the ones that have to be held to the standard and to the higher standard and pressed and leaned on. And if it means grinding them into political dust, then let's get after it. Because if you're running for the CEO's office of one of the largest states, the top 5 states in the nation, measured by a lot of different things, population, political involvement, influence is the word I was looking for, political influence, economic, all those things, all those factors. Great cities, Pittsburgh, Philly, Harrisburg, the one, Scranton. You're looking to be the CEO of that state, which is very diverse. You've got major metropolitan areas densely populated in the big cities. You've got some great rural communities, a mix of red, blue, and purple in the state. And irrespective of, I don't mean this in a reckless way, but irrespective of how they voted in this last election for the Orange Menace, Pennsylvania has been it's in many ways, in my experience, not just my opinion, but in my experience, it's been a state that has represented a lot of what America says it's all about. City folk, suburban folk, urban, real urban, country folk, the hardworking backbone sort of language that we use when we describe what America says it's all about. Receptive to immigrant populations, all of those things. Diverse, reasonably diverse economy. So from high tech and finance to manufacturing and agriculture. It represents that as much as any state in the country does, frankly. It does. And even with Philly being where its position is kind of a port city, Steelers, Eagles, Phillies, Pirates, Flyers, Penguins, great sports teams. God, that's how much I guess I got lucky there. Got all 6 right, Henry. Damn. And I catch a lot of hell from people for being a Steelers fan. I have been going back to the 70s. But Pennsylvania has represented that I believe is one of the states in America that is it's an American state. It's always felt like that in my experience in my visits to those big cities and to the rural parts of Pennsylvania, because I've driven the state a few times in my life. And to have a person running for governor of a state like Pennsylvania, now I could see this garbage in Florida. Maybe. It shouldn't happen anywhere, okay? But to not be reading the room, in my opinion, that Pennsylvania has benefited from so many successful federal programs that then they were able to use to sort of magnify for the state itself and some of its state programs. And it could be a number of things that we could list. But since we're talking about what Stacey Garrity said about the ACA and how the GOP, the Republicans, should have they were right to let them expire, that really pisses me off, to use the word. And I don't use that often. I don't try to recklessly use that word. I'm really PO'd about someone thinking that they could step to the mic and say that kind of, that could be running on a platform like that or making that kind of statement and think that people are going to want to support you, because that's essentially saying, I'm going to give you the tool to harm yourself with. Because I think that they were right in letting them expire, based on nothing really credible or numerically that makes any sense. But most importantly, I said this a couple times now, not reading the room of the state that you want to be the CEO of. I hope she gets trounced. She's the front runner for the Republican Party. I hope she gets trounced. And this is going to have a little bit of, maybe viewed as having a little bit of gender bias to it, but it's not meant to be that way. I hope it's the women that show up that vote her down. Because in many, many, many cases, we know that the first to the front of the room to make sure this stuff happens when it comes to medical and health and care just happens to be women. I mean, no slight against the guys and no stereotypical statement about women, but that's just kind of the truth. Look at the data that we all have access to. Put our brains on pause and go, okay, yeah, that's kind of true. And so now this woman is saying to the state, the Republicans got it right. I hope the women vote her, that she gets trounced, and that women show up at the polls from both sides of the aisle and the middle and say, nah, we need this benefit. We need this support. We need to have a tool that's going to allow us to sustain ourselves and be taken care of from a health perspective. So I'll leave you with that. We're going to take a quick break. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. When we come back, John Parker and I are going to be hanging out. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
This is exactly where we are. This is how we got here, because Joe Biden would not play that game. And, Obama did not play that game. We certainly didn't give them the clown show that Trump does. This is why I keep trying to tell people, it's not the show. Mm-hmm. Don't take the rage bait. Don't be part of the show. This is how he got elected again. These people want him in there because he makes them money. He gives them fame. Everybody's paying attention right now. They didn't pay attention when Biden was in office, and he was getting so much done. But they didn't pay attention because it wasn't a clown show. There wasn't the opportunity for them to, cover him and put on a little show of standing up to him for a second and then become famous and write a book.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty rain showers at times here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the mid-40s. Winds out of the northeast around 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, a chance for some rain showers and thunderstorms, cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Thursday, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy skies, high of 72. Friday, chance for rain late, a high of 69. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 38.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Listen, you know what happens in the afternoon here. Joan Esposito is live, local, and progressive, and is back after a day off. Her guests are John Murphy, professor of communication at University of Illinois, and Kim, senior editor at Washington Monthly. Garrett Epps, legal affairs editor at Washington Monthly as well. And, of course, you want to catch Joan Monday through Friday, 2 to 5 here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com. And tune in. Tonight, Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be broadcasting live from where? Minocqua Brewing Company, Tap Room in Madison, Wisconsin. Get them, Patty. Driving It Home, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website. Tune in, YouTube and Facebook. And then tomorrow, Dr. Samira Vora will be with me here. Aaron Kleinman, and as you guys know, I'm sorry, Adam Classfield is also going to be with us. Forgot about that. Sorry, Adam. Friday, Mary Brandon Johnson will be hanging out. Sean Harris. Got to get Sean elected, y'all, down in Georgia. So today, of course, we are live on Facebook, reading your comments. So please leave your thoughts as well as like and share the page. Find it at facebook.com/WCPT820. Make your way over there. Cool. And I guess it's about that time. This gentleman has been really putting it down and just finding ways to keep bringing us great information. The show is called The Gaily Show. It airs here on WCPT at 10 p.m. John Parker. John, good morning. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
I'm good, man. Glad that you can hang with us this morning. That you were so bold as to get up this early when your show is on.
We're good. We're good. Always happy to help out.
Hey, there you go. Well, listen. Diving into the deep end of the pool right now, we know that we had a really great weekend as it relates to the rallies and the protests throughout the country. And Minneapolis was certainly one of the primary areas that the rallies and protests took place. I saw some of the aerial photographs, and frankly, I wasn't blown away. I was just very, very encouraged and empowered to see so many people across the country. But when I saw some of the aerials from Minneapolis, it was really just inspiring to see. What was it like for you to be a part of that and to be there and to report on it, to talk about it, and to feel it?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll say that if you all recall, when we had our big protest to get ICE out of Minnesota, Minneapolis in January, there was the first one, the strike, where 700 businesses shut down and 75,000 people showed up in downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah.
A week later, 50,000 people showed up again to protest Operation Metro Surge. And Saturday for No Kings, we had, according to Minnesota State Patrol, at least 100,000 people downtown St. Paul at the Capitol, and organizers say that at points it swelled upwards of 200,000 people who were there. So it was packed. We actually had 3 different start locations, if you will, because we knew there were I wasn't one of the organizers, but there were 3 different start locations for folks that so that there wasn't just one main area of walking like we saw in downtown Minneapolis. So it was pretty wild to see that many people. I think we had 30,000. Don't quote me on that number. For the first No Kings protest last June, so it was a lot of Minnesotans turning out against this administration.
Yeah, it was so cool to see, John. I mean, obviously, I know you looked at and saw many of the other cities throughout the country that said no, not just No Kings, but no more of this garbage. And one of my questions to you is because it comes back to something that Edwin Eisendrath said. He was attending the rallies here in Chicago, and of course it's a Democracy Stupid show here on CPT on Saturdays. One of the things that I asked him is so the vibe of the people that were there and what did he hear and from people who were in attendance. Here's part of what he said, and then I want to get your take on this as it relates to what you saw and felt in Minneapolis. One of the things that he said is that many of the people that he talked to, John, the affordability and things like that, cost of goods didn't really come out of their mouths. What came out of their mouths as to why they were there is because they were just tired of seeing this misuse of power. They were tired of seeing American resources, not just money, monetary resources, be misused and abused, but our state in the world, our place in the world. And these are my words now. I said, so it sounds like the image, the respectability, the pride of being an American, being tampered with and trying to be taken away by Trump and his administration and cabinet is what a lot of people were there to kind of stand up and prop up and protect. Those are my words and Edwin's words. But what did you see, feel, and what were some of the things that you may have heard people saying, or you may have even asked some questions of people that were in attendance as to why they were there?
Absolutely. I would say that it felt a little like a massive campaign rally, only because, when you have Senator Bernie Sanders there, you have other state legislators there. All of them were from our side of the aisle, right? Mm-hmm. And so it did kind of feel to me like, okay, Republicans are going to lose everything in Minnesota this fall. I think that obviously Operation Metro Surge was still very top of mind for folks, and they saw that as, I feel here in Minnesota, I would say that people were expressing that it felt very much like we needed to have a No Kings because we had a army of 3,000 people sent into our state to occupy us and to terrorize us. And it's very clear now that the terror was the point of the whole thing. When, we see government officials saying, yeah, we're arresting people and sending them to different countries because we want to terrorize them to self-deport. When we hear stories of people who are in detention and they report out when they do get out that, yeah, they're telling us to just, don't you want this to be over? Why don't you just go back to your country, right? So we know that the terror was the point of this. And so I think having at least 100,000 people show out on Saturday, they were very much saying no to authoritarianism, no to kings here, no to the Republican Party and MAGA. And I think that's and when you see the generational part of it, right, as well, I think that that's something that's very much been, as a reporter, very interesting to me to see that generations coming together. I think when we think of demonstrations and protests, we think of younger folks. Mm-hmm. We think of like millennials on down. And to see the number of boomers and the great generation, if you will, turning out here, it's really a unified effort. And also to see the coalition of different types of groups, like queer organizations and immigrant organizations and labor organizations. I mean, but I'm going to tell you, Richard, sometimes we're very good at debating ourselves. But here, it was very much we are together and we're united in this. And we want to tell MAGA that your time in Minnesota is done. Yeah.
You just said a couple things. You said a number of great things, John. So let me go back to a couple that grabbed me. One of them is the age demographic or the generational demographic. Edwin said kind of a similar sentiment, which is he saw a lot of folks out there that were older than he is, and Edwin's in his mid-60s like I am. He said, Richard, I saw a lot of folks out there that were 10, 15 years older than I, and I was surprised. I asked a few people, what are you doing here? And they're like, listen, some of the language that, we won't repeat on the air, but basically they were saying no to this so-and-so. And, you know, I've been in this fight before in my life. Didn't expect to be doing it again, but here I am because I don't want to lead. Basically, they were saying, and I'll take the positive approach, I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can, even at this point, to leave the best I can for my children and my nieces and that, you know, that sort of my lineage. And that was a real powerful thing that he saw and felt here in Chicago. Did you get any sense of that, or what? Maybe a better question is, what kind of a sense of that did you see, and feel?
Yes, I would. I definitely would agree with that sentiment. I think that that's absolutely a theme that we have here in Minnesota. I would also say that generation. I mean, the boomers and the great generation. Something that's been very consistent from the beginning here, when they were turning out as either legal observers, following ICE, or being in the streets, the 3 different times that we've had major demonstrations now, is not here. Absolutely not. Like, my grandkids are not going to live in this type of a world. You get out now. You know what I mean? It felt very protective. It felt very like that was the generation. They're like, we fought these wars before. We fought the Nazis, and absolutely not. You are not bringing this here. Like, my grandkids are not going to live in this type of a world. So I think that's, another theme that was very immediate for folks that were here in Minnesota. And I don't want to take away, because I know y'all had Operation Midway Blitz, right? And I think, just by virtue of the fact that we literally just got rid of an occupation, and to see Joan Baez there, I think also kind of, when I think of Joan Baez, I think of the, obviously, like we all do, we think of the 60s and then very excellent music, since then. But to see Joan Baez on the Minnesota State Capitol and Bruce Springsteen, people who are known for these big, protest songs, and it's like, oh God, like, here we are again. There was a little bit of like feeling of solidarity, and like, here we are, and be surrounded with this many people, and you're like, we're going to fight back, we're going to win. But also to be like, oh wow, we are still fighting these fights, and there is that as well. But I want to keep it on an upbeat note. For you, Richard.
No, man, listen, I think sometimes when we dig into the parts that are maybe ugly or not pretty or whatever we want to say, however we want to phrase it, it gives us a platform to acknowledge that some stuff is really messed up, and to not acknowledge it is not healthy. But once we do, it's like, all right, let's get some stuff done. And it seems like that the folks of senior age, if you will, showed up to say, I love how you put that, John. No, I'm not going to let my grands and my lineage have to deal with this, and that had to be really moving. Just mentioning her name, Joan Baez, to your point, I mean, I grew up in the 60s, so I remember her impact as part of my, young child involvement in the civil rights movement. So, yes, she's definitely, that had to be inspiring to see an 85-year-old woman out there still doing her thing. And in many ways, you wish she didn't have to. You wish she could be, just chilling and not having to deal with this and process this. But kudos to those senior leaders, if you will. Mm-hmm. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and I'm talking with John Parker. John is a host of the Gaily Show here on WCPT. John is also one of the best reporters in our country when it comes to on-the-ground events and what's happening. So I'm honored to have John with me this morning and sharing his observations of what took place this weekend at the No Kings rally in Minneapolis and Minnesota. So, John, let me ask you a couple other questions about that, and then I have some more broad questions to ask you. What's your next? Or what do you want to see as your next that you think must happen, should happen, or could be the opportunity to happen now that we've had this nearly 9 million attendant No Kings rally? What's your next, John?
I think What I've heard from folks here in Minnesota is a very clear message, and we actually have every Monday one of the main organizers fighting back against Operation Metro Surge, and who are also responsible. They knew what was going to happen after the election, and they were the ones that started training tens of thousands of people to be legal observers for ICE, and that's why we had so many people trailing ICE agents when they arrived here in Minnesota. We have them on every Monday, and they've been pretty clear with me that they do not see Operation Metro Surge as being over. They see it as being paused.
Okay.
And what they mean by that is they believe that if the Republicans maintain control of Congress in the fall elections after November, the House and the Senate, they believe 100% that Operation Metro Surge will be back on. In 2027. They believe that it's paused because it was bad press for the president, that he didn't like what he was seeing on TV, that it was losing them in the polls, that it was the reason why they were losing all their bonus funding for ICE, not current funding, bonus funding.
Right.
And so that's their message to Minnesota, and that's their message to voters is, don't think that it's over and that they're not going to restart this again, because they're going to believe that, hey, we had an election and we won Congress and we kept the House and we kept the Senate, so that's the result. Americans want this, and they're going to ramp it up again. You can see from all the lawsuits that the Trump administration continues to file against Minnesota in particular, that, kind of adding proof to their claim that they're like, we're not out of his crosshairs yet. He is very much pointed, his entire arsenal at Minnesota. And so I think for voters, their message is, it's March, but this election is not in the bag, and you all need to be voting as if Operation Metro Surge, Operation Midway Blitz, whatever it is they called, when they sent the Guard into D.C. and into L.A. last year, it's going to come back. And if you don't want that, you need to get out and you need to vote as if these operations are happening right now.
I hope we can clip that out, guys, what John just said, because I haven't heard anybody on a national level say that. Maybe I missed it, but thank goodness, John, you were able to kind of grab that take, because that is – I've been talking about it from the standpoint of the elections and ICE showing up at the polling locations, and I know you talked about that as well. But what you just said, the angle that you're taking, the approach, that the pause isn't because they're pausing for it being the right thing to do. It's because they're waiting to see how they're going to fare in the midterm elections and then ramp it back up if they were to win, because it's sort of that the administration and the GOP would try to use the language, we have a mandate from America to go back and start terrorizing people all over again. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I would just also there's the debate of reform versus abolish ICE. We saw this, and y'all's great coverage. I tuned in for part of it on primary night, where you had it came up about this, and it came up particularly in the Senate race of folks who want to reform versus abolish ICE, and I think for folks here in Minnesota, the sense is there is no reforming a private army.
Yeah.
That the Trump administration, even when you see the number of days that they're trained, which is 47 days of training, that it was reduced from 5 months to 47 days because he's the 47th president. Yep. They are given powers that of freedom to act that our police departments don't have, because they've told ICE, hey, you're free to do these things. You don't have to abide by what the police have to abide by. When they're training them, specifically when we have whistleblowers saying they're being deliberately trained to ignore your Fourth Amendment rights, and we have video of that, thousands of videos from that, of that happening here in Minnesota. Folks need to kind of get on board with the idea that ICE cannot be reformed, because we have seen how ICE can be used now by an administration who does not care what the courts say. And we can see that as well from here in Minnesota, where judges have been on the precipice of holding every single person in this administration in contempt of court and saying, if you do not show up and do what I say, we will throw you in jail. So this is an administration who is very happy to not abide by the rule of law and continue to use ICE however they want to use ICE. And so I think for folks here in Minnesota, the organizers against this administration want to be very clear to folks who are still on the reform ICE side of the conversation. If you still have this private army available, and I know it's not a private army, but he can use it as a private army, there are no guardrails. Even if you try to put up some policies with ICE, those policies can be ignored by a fascist wannabe president.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that.
Sorry,
go ahead,
I'm sorry, John. No, he'll use Pam Bondi until she's used up to protect him and put her out there to throw fireballs at any state judges that push back and that do the right thing. So that part is well thought out by you, and obviously a lot of it's coming from the people that you've talked to there on the ground. So there's so much to ask you, so I want to keep it as tight as I can. John, what's your take on what's happening in the Minnesota governor's race? What are some of your observations, and what are some of the things that you're hearing from people there in the state?
I think that so in Minnesota it's called the DFL, the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, so the DFL. The DFL is trying to be as unified as possible, so they are completely behind Senator Klobuchar. There will be no challenger in the primary to her. She is known for receiving lots of support from Republican voters, being sort of that bipartisan vote. She wins by huge margins every time in her Senate races. So I think folks are feeling pretty good about that race. On the Republican side, it's the Minnesota House Speaker, Lisa Damas.
Michelle Tafoya. Is she a factor, or is she just running her mouth and yelling and screaming? You can say it.
Is the problem that, and we have some other good shows on actually Matt McNeil, who's also on WCPT in the afternoons. He's done a very good job of connecting the dots about how House Speaker Damas and other Republican leaders were deliberately stoking right-wing, quote-unquote, journalists to target, rather, with their reporting, quote-unquote, the Somali community, and then using that to justify sending in ICE. And there's a pretty compelling story about what she was doing prior to that. And then everything got out of hand, and suddenly she wants to talk about, fraud in Minnesota. She doesn't want to talk about what just happened here. And so I think that she's not going to win. I think on the statewide level races, there's a reason why Republicans have not won a race in Minnesota since 2006. And I think that, Senator Klobuchar is going to win by double digits. I think the concern for Senator Klobuchar is a couple years ago, we had a huge progressive legislative session because we are not a full-time legislature. We are a part-time one. And it was a pretty significant generational, historians are even looking at it now and going, yeah, this was a pretty significant progressive moment for Minnesota. I think the concern now is, will Senator Klobuchar as governor continue that tradition of Governor Walz and of Speaker Emerita Hortman, who was assassinated last June, along with her husband, or will she try to be what she's been in the Senate, which is trying to tack to the right to try to bring in Republican voters, when right now in Minnesota, the DFL doesn't care about trying to get MAGA or Republican voters. They just don't care anymore.
So it could be a politically not necessary move. I'm going to say a bad move, but not necessary for her to do that. Maybe what might be better, it sounds like, and this is again my observation about progressive trying to lean to the middle. Just keep growing the base with the people that may not have been participating, rather than trying to reach over and grab people who might cut your hand off anyhow. Rather than doing that, reach out to the people that didn't participate, that may have stayed at home in a national election or even some of the state legislative elections, and get them back into the fight. That's a stronger play to me. If I were advising her, I'm not, but if I were, I would say that move to the center on the state level is not going to work here, because they don't give a damn about that. They want you to stay home, not stay home, but they want you to stay connected to the home base. Am I over-interpreting it, John?
No, I think that's exactly it, which will be a little anathema to how she has run campaigns, including her own presidential campaigns. So it'll be obviously the sentiment in the DFL and for a lot of independent voters in Minnesota is take the fight to the Trump administration. And so I think that they're believing, since she's on the judiciary, committee, that she used to be the Hennepin County attorney before she became a senator, that she'll take the fight to the Trump administration. And that's the demand right now of her, is that it won't be a let's reach across the aisle. It will be, you're going to be governor against a president that wants to come in and attack Minnesota. You are going to have to fight to defend us. And, we're going to I think we're going to win the legislature. I think that's not a question. The question will be by how much, what will be the margins. Last time when we had that amazing session 2 years ago, it was by one vote, but everybody stayed together. There was no infighting. It was, we are here, we have this, let's take advantage of it. And so I think that also will be another demand of voters for Senator Klobuchar is, let's not try to, again, reach across the aisle for the sake of trying to get bipartisan votes. If we have the votes, even if it's just by one, get it done.
Yeah, good point. John Parker, y'all, he is the host of the Gaily Show, weeknights, 10 p.m. here on WCPT. John, my man, it is always good to talk to you. I'm so honored to have you on the show and get your really on the ground, in-depth observations of what's taking place in Minnesota. And we appreciate you for all the work that you do. Stay safe, my man, and look forward to talking to you again soon, okay?
Thank you. Really appreciate you all taking the time to think about what's happening here in Minnesota and how it's affecting the country. Really appreciate it, Richard. Thank you.
Hey, man, I look at it like this. We're first cousins, so we got to take care of each other, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, man. Be well and stay safe, John. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM 103.5 FM. I'm Richard Chu. When we come back, this guy named Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be hanging out with me, and it's going to be fun. We'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
You're shopping in the mall. You turn around, and your child is nowhere in sight. Don Wood of Child Watch says you and your child have to have a plan to avoid child abduction.
You need that plan. These guys are predators. When they see an opportunity, and when you present them with one, you better make sure that your child knows how to get around it. What we teach them is if you get lost, stay still. Don't leave with anybody. Don't go anywhere. And it's a clear and simple message. It's not try to distinguish anything, try to find somebody. It's don't move, because we know that we lost you within the last 2 or 3 minutes. We will get back to you and find you. And you stay still. And there's no police officer that would make you go with them if you told them that that's what your parent had told you to do.
Find more safety rules for kids at childwatch.org. You'll feel stronger for it. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty rain showers at times here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the mid-40s. Winds out of the northeast around 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. And for tonight, a chance for some rain showers and thunderstorms, cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Thursday, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy skies, high of 72. Friday, chance for rain late, a high of 69. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 37.
Hi, this is Patty Vasquez, and I'm thrilled to announce that Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez now has its very own podcast that you can subscribe to. Actually, 2 Driving It Home full episodes and Driving It Home featured interviews. You can subscribe to one or both. Just search for Driving It Home wherever you get your podcasts, or get the podcast links on my show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and clicking on my picture.
Patty Vasquez, weeknights 5 to 7 on WCPT 820. Dive deeper into the heart of the news and stories at WCPT 820 and across the Midwest by checking out our website, heartlandsignal.com.
It's the coverage I can count on every time.
For the latest news updates, in-depth analysis, compelling stories, comprehensive election coverage, live streams, and thought-provoking opinions, head to heartlandsignal.com.
When I need to know, they're there.
They keep me informed and updated wherever I am.
Stay informed with WCPT 820, your go-to source for where facts matter.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Thomas Edison invented the first light bulb, but however, did you guys know that Lewis Howard Latimer, a black man, improved upon it? That's right. Latimer's light bulb was made to last longer than Edison's. Latimer later sold that light bulb to the U.S. Electric Company in 1881, making light bulbs more accessible and affordable to the community. Here are some light bulb companies that support the Democratic Party. Philips Light Bulbs. Philips supports the Democratic Party very highly. In 2024, Philips donated over $400,000 to Democratic candidates in 2024. GE, General Electric. GE roughly is about 50-50 split with candidates they donate to. In 2024, 54% of GE's donations went to the Democratic Party, including $159,000 to Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. Hey, guys, want to hear a joke? How many Republicans does it take to change a light bulb? None! Donald Trump just says it's fixed and they all sit in the dark and applaud. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Out Chicago.
I'm saying it again. Equal rights for others does not mean less rights for you. It does not.
People are insecure. It's horrible.
But if you could hear my voice and you voted for this, just think about how does gay marriage affect your life? It does not make any sense. It does not make any sense.
Cash Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820.
Hi, Matt McNeil here. Well, this sucks. Trump 2.0 is a disaster, packaged in a nightmare, wrapped in incompetence, smelling like hot sewage, and delivered like a ball-peen hammer to the nether region. So, as expected, sometimes it can be tough to figure out whose constitutional rights are being violated in any given hour. So listen to my show, The Matt McNeil Show, as I sort through the crimes against humanity, usually cracking a joke or two along the way. It's The Matt McNeil Show, 9 p.m. weekday evenings right here on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Tax season is upon us, everyone. And since we're not billionaires, the president, or any members of the GOP, it means we have to pay taxes. Let's look at some of the biggest taxpayer companies that support the Democrat Party. H&R Block. Now, H&R Block is a rare one, as the company, their senior leaders, and their employees, all their political donations went to Democratic candidates in 2024. Jackson Hewitt. Now, Jackson Hewitt as a company does not give to politics. However, out of their senior leaders' political donations, 63% of those donations went to Democrats. Liberty Tax. Now, Liberty Tax as a company does not donate to politics. However, there is one senior leader who makes political donations, and all those donations went to Democrats. And of course, you can always go to those local small mom-and-pop tax preparers. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Stephanie Miller.
I get to say my favorite sentence in the entire world. Here comes Kathy Griffin, hero of democracy. Hello.
How are we going to do this? Because I know we're both going to want to talk at the same time because it's a love fest. I am so in love with you. You are so important and wonderful and funny and brilliant, and you are who I aspire to be. When I grow up, I want to be you.
No, you.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
Save big money on your next painting project at Menards. Pristine interior paint and primer in one is Dutch Boy's best hiding and most durable paint. It delivers a smooth, elegant finish while providing maximum scuff, stain, and mark resistance. Save big money on Dutch Boy paints and get your painting project started today. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
The Sports Cubicle. It is our honor to be joined with Justine Siegel. She's the co-owner of the Women's Pro Baseball League.
I think
the majority of our players will have been women who played with boys and men. A lot of them just have experience with baseball, the same experience that you have. They're just women. So they'll be bringing that with them for better or for worse, but that competitiveness and that desire to be there no matter what.
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Shivari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Richard Chu's got his eyes on the truth. And you're right where you need to be. This is Chu's Views.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Obviously, as you know, join me weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com. Tune in and watch the live video stream on Facebook and YouTube. It's Wednesday, so that means we are hanging out with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Good morning, Kurt. Welcome to the Let's Tear 'Em Down show.
Hey, good morning, Richard. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Talking to you, so my Wednesday could not be much better. It is one of the things I look forward to each week is us getting the opportunity to chat and talk about what's going on and how we want to have an impact in some positive change. And so that makes my Wednesdays pretty doggone cool. It's April Fool's Day, and I was trying to think of something to do to pull an April Fool's joke on you, and I was like, I'm not going to do that to my man. I won't do that to you. But it did cross my mind. I ain't gonna lie, it did cross my mind.
Hey, I came up with a big spiel that I was going to tell you over the weekend. I had a come to Jesus moment, and then I'm going to join the Republican Party, but I knew you wouldn't buy that, so I decided to throw it to the side. You know, it's
you would have been better. Excuse me, in terms of an April Fool's joke, you would have been better off doing something like, so Richard, we've made the decision that we're going to leave Indiana. It's just too damn hard down here. I'm working my tail off, and I got all you, and then gone down the path of, and we're moving to Chicago or something like that, or we're moving to northwestern Indiana, a more purple part of the state. That I would have been like, oh, man, and I would have gotten all excited and da-da-da-da-da, and then you would have said, yo, Chew, April Fool's, brother. That would have gotten me, because
I'll do that.
I would have been probably in the 60th percentile of believing that you were going to do that, but I know how strong of a dude you are, and you're going to stay there in the fight, which is honorable and something that
even though we are having a population exodus here in the state, there was some
talk about that. Yeah, man. I saw
there
that,
was just
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we have a tendency to run over each other's words sometimes, but no, there's been some polls that have been taken and some data brought forth that, people are leaving Indiana, and, we're all like, yeah, we're shocked, in my county alone, there was close to 300 citizens that were lost over the last, I think, year and a half or 2 year period, which, to people in Chicago, that might not seem a lot, but when your county population is 29,000, that's but they didn't provide the age brackets and things like that. And that's what's interesting, is that it's most of the people that are leaving are the younger generations.
Yeah.
Those who don't see opportunity here, who don't see a future in our community or in the surrounding areas. And, Wabash has done a great job at trying to build up the downtown area and things like that. But we still just don't have any viable jobs in this community. Very few manufacturing jobs, and those that are here are low pay. And that's what happens when livable wage does not keep up with what cost of living is. It's it's detrimental for people to stay in that community and keep shooting themselves in the foot. So
and that's always heartbreaking, because all of us want those around us, those that we know and that we may not know, but we observe, to prosper and be in a better way. And so you can't necessarily blame when a person has to make that decision. And it always, sometimes what happens is they stay because their family's there. They don't know anything necessarily different, but they are, they're aspirational about what else is out there. and they're toiled with the challenge with the do I leave the people that I love in an area that I love and go for greener pastures? I know it's tough. I know it's got to be tough, and I've talked to a number of people over my lifetime.
I kind of relate it to a guy that, at a younger age becomes a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And then Aaron Rodgers comes to that team as their quarterback, and he stays loyal to the team. And then Mike McCarthy comes their coach, and he continues to stay loyal to the team.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
that was.
You don't want to break away from that loyalty.
Well,
you want to stay there and fight for the, but it's like,
yeah,
really?
no, believe me, that was one of my measuring sticks this last year. Good call, man. Really good. No, you did it again. You read the room extraordinarily well, and you did it there, even in the sports arena. Yeah,
I had to think. I love giving you crap about stuff like that.
That was kind of what I had. I went through that very challenging thing. I was like, what do I do now? But speaking of Pittsburgh, or speaking of the state of Pennsylvania, I don't know if you caught what I was talking about earlier with this woman, Stacey Garrity, who's running for governor, GOP. Man, do we need to light her up? And I don't mean in a positive way. I mean, how in the hell?
Yeah.
I love the state of Pennsylvania. And some of it's tied to the sports, historical sports. A lot more of it's tied to the people there and the geography of Pennsylvania and all those other things. It's just a great freaking state. And
a lot of history.
A lot of great history. Part of our nation's.
A lot of presidential history.
Thank you. Right. And all the with the brotherly love, all that stuff with Philly, on and on. And I just, I was just supremely offended. I am supremely offended that this person would say that the GOP got it right in letting those subsidies for the ACA expire. She basically just decided to take, what on the heads of people in Pennsylvania. So I'm hoping folks come out and she just gets throttled in this election if she ends up being the GOP nominee.
She will. They see the writing on the wall. They understand what's going to happen in the elections this year. The proof's been there.
Yeah.
It's just like I've been watching Sean Harris, and I will be shocked if he does not win. I will be shocked.
But here's the thing, and I got to say this to you. I will be too, but man, I am not going to lie and I'm going to say it from the positive. I'm still nervous about it. Nervous in a good way that forces me to act and to do stuff. We got him on the show on Friday, and I'll be talking about that pretty much every day next week because the election's on the 7th. I would be a little shocked / disappointed, a few emotions, but I'm not taking anything for granted. And you can see by the work that he's doing. See, this is why I'm excited. Part of the reason I'm excited about Sean as a elected official, he's doing the work in areas that a lot of people that have run in that state haven't done the work. And on the Democratic side or the Republican side, Sean is going everywhere. He is not leaving. I mean, he's representing that those well-earned of bars and stars as a general, a retired general, of going everywhere to find out what you got to find out and being truly a force. So
that is what a patriot looks like, Richard.
Yeah.
Okay. A patriot isn't a dude dressed in bull horns and a flag draped around him storming the Capitol. A patriot is somebody like Sean Harris, who stands strong on what he believes in and knows what the oath meant to him when he took it. So hats off to him. And I just think he's going to do really well. So, but they know what's happening. They see in these special elections and the elections that have been taking place so far. But that comment that she made, that's the Republican Party. That's the mandate for leadership. Okay. That's Project 2025 that they're speaking of. Because within Project 2025, they want to privatize everything. And this is what people need to understand. On page 134, section 5, it says plain, TSA needs to be privatized.
Yep.
Okay. This is what their plan is across the board. Healthcare, all these agencies, they want to make the Coast Guard part of the DOJ. I mean, the ridiculous craziness in this mandate is beyond belief to people. And and we've been talking about it for a long time. You know, Karen's been talking about it. You and I've been talking about it. You talked about it with many other guests. I mean, this is something we've been people just don't get it. This is what everything that's happening is about.
It didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't come out of nowhere.
It did not. It did not. And you know, it's just crazy. But you know, they say stupid crap all the time. Every single one of them. It's like every day. It's like,
don't you just rear back sometimes and go, golly, what is wrong with y'all? I know I do. I don't want to put that on you, man.
Every day. WTF every day, man.
It's like, what is wrong
every
with
hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, turn it off. I can't listen to this.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I made a little reel about little Petey Keg says talk the other day.
Hey man, be careful. Be careful giving people labels. I mean, I shouldn't say be careful. I handled it the right way, but I got, you know, someone said they were moderately offended by a term that I used yesterday describing Mike Johnson. So, but no, sorry, go ahead. Little Mike.
You mean Moses Johnson?
Yeah, that.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but you know.
See, I'm getting you in.
Give them my email.
Look who got you in trouble. You're normally trying to get me in trouble. I got you in some trouble. So,
but no, he stands up there and says that, you know, the Iranian people are not being taken care of by their government, that they have a radical theology government who, you know, that's why they're protesting in the streets. And I'm sitting here looking at that thinking, wait a minute, dude, what do you, we just had a protest this weekend where they're saying now 8.5 million people took part in this protest. And if you just looked at Minnesota alone, which you talk about a little bit, that was an unreal scene.
Yeah.
An unreal scene.
Yeah.
And from it going to what did he say? An estimated 30,000 last time.
Yeah.
To now they're saying over 100,000 and possibly at a peak
the full surge.
200,000 people. I mean, you know,
they can't.
And there's OPD up there saying crap like that. They want to invest it into missiles and launchers, and I'm like, we're spending $1 billion a day on our war. You're sitting there talking about yourself, dude. I mean, it's. But you know, what do you expect from, you know, a white nationalist TV Fox host being in charge of our War Department? I mean, you know,
oh God, you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking with Kurt Mullett, also known as Hoosier Blue 63. Kurt's the real deal, y'all, when it comes to keeping folks informed and having great guests on his podcast, reaching out to young politicians in the state of Indiana and across the country, frankly. Shanique Williams is going to be with us hopefully in the next week or so.
Awesome.
So we're doing the work that we need to do to get her on the air. So, guys, you got to check out Kurt Mullett, Hoosier Blue 63. I don't care what you're doing. Google him, check him out, find him. You will learn something. You'll probably laugh. And one of the cool things about it is when on his platforms, he gets to cuss, not curse. He gets to cuss. And there's a difference between cursing and cussing. Trust me on that. My mama schooled me on that one years ago, the difference between cursing and cussing. Hey, man, let me ask you this question. I asked this question earlier, and I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to talk to something about the war. What are your thoughts about what Trump may say tonight in his conversations around this Iran strategy or the Iran update? What do you think's going to be put out there?
Well, he's just going to completely lie about everything, saying that we're in control. We have the control of the Strait of Hormuz. There's no effect going on. That oil is not affected by this. You know, we've defeated the regime. Yeah, I mean, he's just going to feed a bunch of lies that his supporting group that is shrinking by the day is still going to hang on to and believe, because that's who the guy is. He's going to feed us a line of crap. I mean, it's not going to be any different than any other time that the man gets in front of a microphone and speaks. But I anticipate there will be more stuttering. There'll be more slobbering. There'll be more slurring of words, because this guy is you could tell by watching him. I mean, he must have a plate full of meds that he takes in the morning just to make it through every day. I mean, this guy is beyond, and we've talked about this before. Joe had a stuttering issue for his entire life, and yes, he was old, and you could tell, time.
Yeah.
But for people to sit here and watch this guy, and it's just like, did you see him talk about the bombs the other day?
Oh gosh!
They're sitting there and they pew pew pew. It was just, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God! It's like I'm in kindergarten, sitting next to a kid in his diaper, talking about look at the bombs. Anyway, so yeah, I think he's just going to feed us a line of crap and say things that aren't true.
Yeah.
I think they have gotten themselves backed up into a corner that they, we've used this sports analogy before. You never underestimate your opponent, especially when your opponent's been in this type of a ball game many times before.
Right.
And we've got a bunch of idiots that have never been in this kind of a ball game that don't have any clue at what they're doing.
Nope.
And look, I'm not pro-Iranian or anything like that. But I am against, invading countries illegally. What took place in Venezuela and what they said happened there, it didn't happen. There's not a democracy in Venezuela now. It's as big a mess, if not before. Okay, this is not what this is all about. This is not about it. It's about this situation is about doing what Bibi Netanyahu wants, and the Venezuela thing was about oil, but it all circles around money and what the oligarchs want, and so that's what's happening here.
And the perpetual distraction. I mean, there's not just the distraction from the Epstein files and the release and all that, and what's in them that's specific to Trump and other of his allies, but it's also the distraction from talking about tariffs, to talking about our medical situation here in the U.S. Candidly talking about ICE and their terror in neighborhoods. It's a distraction from all of that. And it's a way to make sure that Bibi and Putin don't have a conversation and say, yo, Bibi, I think we should release the tapes. Because that's part of this, y'all. I mean, we make fun of it and we try to lighten the mood a little bit and joke a little bit about it or tease about it. But that's ultimately what's happening now, and it's costing people's lives. And here's how it's also costing people's lives. $1 billion a day. How much money redirected or appropriately applied to our economy? How much good would that do to help people's lives right here? And I keep coming back to this because a lot of times we can get away from it. What about America? Listen, we want to help the world and do the best we can. But what about the campaign of America First? This is not America First. It's not. It's just not. So that leads me to a question. I don't want to miss this before we wrap up today. I sort of touched on this the other day, but I wanted to wait till you and I had a chance to talk. If the conversation is around us having troops going into Iran, not boots on the ground, but lives in peril is how I'm looking at it. Where are the Israeli troops? That's what I want to know. It's supposed to be about making sure that Israel and the Middle East is protected and blah, blah, blah. Okay, where are the Israeli troops? Well, the
Israeli troops are doing what the Israeli Bibi wants them to do. They're over in Lebanon. Taking control of Lebanon because that's the land that they want. So this is a two-pronged fork here, or probably more than that. But I'm just going to use that for right now. this deal is, hey, you invade Iran, and then I'm going to go and take over Lebanon because that's really my end goal of what I want. In fact, I want to control the whole region, but we're going to take Lebanon first. That's where we're going to focus ours. So while we're doing this, and people don't talk about that hardly at all.
Nope.
And I have a relationship with just a fabulous young woman. Her name's Sierra. That is really knowledgeable on this, and she talks about it all the time, and she knows far more than what I do. But we talk about this exact thing right here, is that what Israel is doing with Lebanon and other regions around them is just insane, and people aren't paying attention to it because we're so focused on what's going with at Iran. But this is a regional thing that these two are trying to do, and that's who's doing it. It's these two.
Yeah.
Bibi finally found a fool that was stupid enough to say, okay, yeah, that sounds good to me, bud. I'll do what you want me to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because all the other presidents have kind of resisted it. Even though there's a lot of AIPAC money and all of this, and politicians throughout our governance, support Israel and will say, flat out, we will always support Israel. We've never had a president that has taken it to this step, but this guy has. So I just hope it gets him the Nobel Peace Prize that he's so desperately wants, because he's
you and I could go. Why don't we talk to some of our friends and folks that we've met over the years or known over the years that are in the printing business, okay? And then you write up the language for the document, and then I'll get a medal that says Nobel Peace Prize, and we'll get it printed, manufactured, and then we can say, hey, listen, we've got the Nobel Peace Prize for Donnie Boy. I know I'm being silly, but that the real hardcore side of this is if American men and women are on the ground in anywhere in Iran, but particularly if they try to take over this island, it's unfortunately, y'all, and we just have to be real about this. There's going to be carnage. I mean, they've made it clear already. They will publicly. They will make it public what they're going to do to American soldiers that land on their land, and that's.
I mean, I can't imagine having a child in the service right now, or being in the military right now. I mean, the fear factor.
And what's the bottom? What's right? And so that, yes, Kurt. And what then happens? This just we don't have enough time to really bake this out, and maybe we'll talk about this maybe more next week. So this happens. And X number of troops are on the ground there. And then we start to see the devastation that takes place. Because Iran is prepared. Let's not fool ourselves. I've said this a dozen times. Mm-hmm. They're ready. They actually been waiting for the U.S. to do this kind of stupid thing. That being said, so what's the bottom?
Or somebody.
But, it's a dumb A like we have now in the White House.
Right.
But this is the part that nobody else, I don't think anybody's been talking about other than maybe you and me and a couple other people. Sierra's probably one of them. What happens if we do this and we see the devastation that will probably happen? And I'm not being hyperbolic. What then happens? Are we going to send in more troops? So how deep will this go in terms of the number of American soldiers, men and women, that end up being redirected, redeployed there to make up for what happens when we start losing lives on the ground? I don't know what the answer is, but I know that that's something that's got to be talked about. So
and I agree with you, and I don't want to be hyperbolic or fear mongering or anything like that, but I don't think we've seen anything yet.
No,
and I hate saying that, but. You don't do this to a country who has been, been in the midst of things like this for
a long
years.
time.
Okay,
they've been in this fight to the dirty, ugly part of it, to the point you were making earlier. They've been embroiled in this longer than probably the average age of the men and or women that are going to be deployed to that region. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So,
and even if the U.S. says, "Okay, we're done, we're pulling out," it won't be over.
No.
Okay, and the terror that's going to be rained on is us Americans. And we are the ones that are going to, And we're worried about people over in Iran and what they're doing and the terrorists there. Yet we have Qatar building a military base in Idaho.
In Idaho, yeah. Kurt Mullett,
yeah,
y'all.
I mean, crazy.
Yeah. All right, man.
Thanks, Richard.
The text messages are from people saying, "I love you, Kurt. You guys are great." So there you go.
I love you too, man.
This is coming. This is coming from folks that are listening. So you know how I feel about you.
I love all of you too, man.
Yeah,
Trust
I hear
me.
you.
I sit down and let's have some coffee. Get a hold of me, man.
There you go.
I love people. So
follow him on social media. Kurt Mullett, Hoosier Blue 63. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. I'll see you next Wednesday. Be safe,
Thanks
okay?
for having me, Richard.
Hey, by the way,
too.
happy April 1st. It's April Fool's Day.
Hey, you too. yeah.
All right,
Go
man.
Pittsburgh.
See ya. Bye. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. When we come back, we got a real smart dude that's going to be hanging out with us. Robert Pape, who is professor of political science at the University of Chicago, specializing in international security affairs. We'll be right back.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GRAVY25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GRAVY25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GRAVY25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Stephanie Miller here. Let's talk digestion. Eat this. Don't eat that. Actually, forget that. Eat this instead. No wonder so many people feel bad after trying to eat healthy. Something we do 3 times a day can turn into a crapshoot, and we do not want to go there. Here's what I learned from the Tummy Whisperer. Even healthy eating can backfire. That's why I trust Renee Barish at Digestive Health Solutions. As a certified digestive health specialist, Renee helps people go beyond Dr. Google and figure out what's really going on. If you've cleaned your diet up with no change, or you feel worse with bloating, reflux, constipation, diarrhea, or low energy, Renee will help you make sense of it all. And without having to live on steamed vegetables and regret. With Renee's guidance, digestion can calm down, food can stop being a gamble, and your body can finally feel healthy. Visit TheTummyWhisperer.com or just call Renee at 847-207-2034. That's 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty rain showers at times here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the mid-40s. Winds out of the northeast around 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. And for tonight, a chance for some rain showers and thunderstorms, cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Thursday, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy skies, high of 72. Friday, chance for rain late, a high of 69. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 37.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
From the headlines to the heart of the city, Richard Chew breaks it all down. You're back on Choose Views.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks to our good friend Kurt Mullett for hanging out with us this morning, and to John Parker, who was up in Minneapolis, giving us the report of what's happening there on the ground. And I said earlier that we were going to be talking to really smart people today. With us, of course, is our good friend who's been with us before, Professor of Political Science at the University of Chicago, specializing in international security affairs. So you know right now he's got a lot on his mind. I'm talking about Professor Robert Pape. Good morning, Professor. Doc, glad you're with us this morning. How you doing?
In these times.
Yeah, it's crazy. Thanks for being with us, Professor. It's always good to see you and see that big warm smile that you have. And at a time like this, it's needed. And I know that you've been delving into some of the nuts and bolts and the nitty gritty of where we are right now, and with regard to the war in Iran. I've said this a dozen times. We can't call it, strategic strikes and a military engagement. We're at war with Iran. Give us some of your updates and your observations, and then we'll talk a little bit about the escalation trap and how this war is moving in a crazy, weird way.
Well, we are now on the horns of a dilemma, and this is a dilemma the likes of which we haven't been in for most of your listeners' whole lifetime. You have to go back to Vietnam to find anything like what this would be, and that didn't have the Vietnam War, the global economic dimension that this does, or the nuclear material dimension this does. So Richard, your listeners are really this is all must be coming as a tremendous shock, and the only thing comparable would be pinching yourself with the COVID. Is this really all happening? And that's really very understandable. So we're on the horns of a real dilemma, and President Trump has spoken on every side of his mouth over the last 48 hours, sometimes contradicting himself, not just within a paragraph, within a sentence. So it really is the case that confusion has been the name of the day. Now, what we need to think about right now is we do need to listen to what he says tonight. I'm not saying to ignore him, but number one, we need to follow the troops and the deployments. As of now, every single thing that has been announced, that is the movement of the Marines, the movement of the 82nd Airborne, additional fighters, additional aircraft carrier, all moving toward Iran. There has been no reversal in the water, no about face with any of those deployments. And by far, whatever the president says, that should be 80% of what we focus on. We need to recognize that in the past, when we bombed Iran in June, he said he wasn't going to do it. It was 2 weeks off, and then literally hours later, the bombs fell. So this is not a case whether it's, and I'm not even sure we can ascribe intentionality to his contradictions now. But it is, so what we should do here with your listeners is break all this down. I think it would be very helpful for them to hear, if he says X, what does that mean? If we do Y, what does that mean? But one big point I want to leave you with, and then we'll go with questions here, is what has happened now is we have created a new center of world power. Let me say those words again, Richard, because I haven't put those out on X yet. I haven't put, you're hearing them, some of the first people here. What has happened in the last 33 days of this war is because of President Trump's actions, we have created a new center of world power. And President Trump can try to wash his hands of this whole thing. He can try to pass the buck all he wants. He can try to blame somebody else, and I'm sure he'll find some ways to blame the Democrats. I don't know how you do that, but he'll come up with ways. But the bottom line is, what's going to really happen in the years to come, not in just the days to come, is we used to talk about the U.S. as a center of world power, Russia as a center of world power, China as a center of world power, and in that same breath now is going to be Iran as a center of world power. And that is really, really going to, we've had a lot of intellectual shocks, you might say. Once we understand what's really happened here, this is going to change how we think about the world going forward.
So I'm hoping you can define that even more, or give some bullet points as to how, I guess, what that looks like in terms of Iran moving into that level of description as a world power. We know why it's happened based on the last 33 plus days. But what does that look like? What does that really mean?
It's important to understand, Richard, that what power is a resource. And economics makes up the lion's share of that, because you literally can't buy more military, more technology than your budget. You can borrow, but ultimately you got to pay the piper with your economy. Now, underneath that is energy, oil. Forever, oil has been absolutely critical. Now, why is Russia a world power? Russia is a world power because it controls 11% of the world's oil. That's what generates all those many billions of dollars in its coffers that it uses to buy weapons, sometimes from even North Korea and Iran.
Right.
But it's coming from that oil. You see what I mean? It's not coming from anything else. It also has a population of about 170 million. Well, Iran is not that much smaller in population.
No.
Now has 20% of the world's oil, double Russia's. Now, at the moment, we're worrying about drones that are cheap. We're worrying about the little things that we'll see in the future that Iran can do. But as this projects forward, think of again, Iran has now double the control of oil that Russia has, and an extremely nationalist, angry regime, and enriched uranium. So we are looking at a future here where the balance of power inside the Middle East will change. That will have effects on Israel. Is Israel just going to let all that happen? You see, that regardless of the United States, this is going to be a big deal. And then it has big effects on Asia. This is what I mean by world power.
Yeah, it's not just just a regional. No. I'm putting the dots together, as my wife would say. It's not just it's not just the immediate region itself. It's all the things that are surrounding it, because of the way in which, I mean, literally, and you can talk about this in terms of the Straits of Hormuz, but it's access, it's denying access, if you will, and then it's also the control, the cost of that resource, i.e. the price of oil going up.
That's right, Richard. So right now on CNN, your listeners can hear about the Strait of Hormuz from anywhere else. They're not getting this anywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I do. This is why am I advising White Houses from 2001 to 24? It's stuff they can't get on CNN.
Yeah.
So I just want to explain. I'm sorry to be a little bit.
No, you do not have to apologize.
Let me get away with a tad of that.
Please.
But it's really important to understand that what I'm doing is risk assessment. I'm not doing crystal ball gazing or seances or something. And what is occurring here has never happened. We've never seen a world power emerge in modern history in 33 days. That has not happened. Okay. So just got to understand what is occurring here. Now, it is not full-fledged yet because it hasn't had several months or years to reap in all that money. Now, as time goes on now, all the states are already tacking politically to this. They're not going to wait 5 years for Iran to have nuclear weapons. They see the trajectory, and that's why in the region, in the Persian Gulf, you're already seeing the split. I've been talking about in my writings and postings about the Iran trying to split the Gulf states. Well, it's already occurring in 3 pools. You've got Iraq, which is already tacking toward Iran so it can get some of its ships out.
Got it.
Then you've got Qatar and Bahrain, which are doing everything possible to duck and hide and stay in the middle. And now you've got Saudi Arabia and the UAE saying, President Trump, don't leave us and abandon us. Why is Saudi Arabia and UAE saying all that? They're saying all that because one of Iran's next missions is going to be to topple those governments. And when they topple those governments, this is not going to mean a golden parachute where everybody just lives happily ever after. They have to remember when MBS wanted to go after Khashoggi, he was talking. He was looking at Dexter as his way. And this is what we're talking about. So as that's just in the Middle East, and that's just in the near term. So what is occurring here is President Trump's on the horns of a dilemma because, as I've also been saying, there's no easy ground option. There's the military options here have all been bad. They've been bad since going back to June, and they're not getting any better. So this is not as if, oh, well, okay, Professor Pape, he explains why this is such an awful, sort of scary future with a new center of world power. Maybe we have to suck it up and fight this ground war. That's not what Professor Pape is saying, because if we look on that other side and we go down that road, we can go down and listeners are hearing all of the different things about the tactics on CNN. What those all mean is incremental escalation toward war of attrition for months. And that is because if we take CARG, we do any of these little things, it means you're putting 1,000 or 2,000 of our troops in an isolated little pocket. And if you just leave them there, they run out of food, water, and ammo in a week. Food, water, and ammo in a week. Now you can try to airdrop it in, you try to do all these other things, but you can see right away they're in a hurting pretty bad, right? Yeah. So you just imagine what's going to happen, and over weeks they're basically all going to die. Okay, so this is really why this is not we maybe will do a limited this, a limited that. And so this ground options I'm talking about, again, the big picture here, besides the tactics of should we take that island or that piece of beach or whatever, the big picture is all of them lead to a 3 to 6 months war of attrition. Now, it may not be 58,000 dead Americans in Vietnam, but that took 10 years. Yeah. So we just need to understand that what President Trump has doomed us to are two really horrible futures, and I think this is what's driving him nuts.
So help, and let me just do some quick business, Professor Pape. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with Professor Robert Pape from the University of Chicago. Professor, war of attrition means what? Help folks that are listening all over what that means.
Yeah, war of attrition means every week there are 50 dead Americans. Mm-hmm. Now, there are 52 weeks in a year. So you can see that even if it seems like, 50, that's not that bad. Well, every week. Mm-hmm. And now we're imposing costs on the other side. But the Iranian army is 1 million strong in arms. 1 million strong. We're not going up against the little itty bitty Houthis of 20,000. So when you start talking about attrition where they attrit us, we attrit them week after week after week, this is going on for a while. So this is not a small thing. And so the attrition here, you can think of it as this is the battle casualties. Mm-hmm. But that's just the battle military dimension of this. What would happen in addition with that ground war is destruction of the facilities to pump out the oil, gas, not just simply risk to ships, destroying ships. So right now, a lot of those ships, those 100+ ships are just parked in the Persian Gulf. They're not sunk. You sink them, they're not coming. You have to rebuild them.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to build capacity, you see. So when we talk about this war of attrition and so forth, President Trump's been talking as if we're high on the hog on the escalation ladder. All the options favor us. No, that's not the case. as the war goes on and gets longer, the longer the war goes on, the more options there are for Iran. And it's not just doing temporary disruption. I call it damage, true damage to capacity. And those of the folks listening who have businesses, they understand exactly what I mean. Okay, you take away, you let your employees go because you got to lay them off for a month. My son has this in Portland. You can bring them back. You destroy the building, they're not coming back. Yeah. This is a different story, you see. So the disruption of the layoff, that's horrible. My son, I understand. But nonetheless, this is the difference of what we would move to in a war of attrition. So these options that we have in front of us, these horns of a dilemma, I believe right now, if President Trump were to step down and magically said, I'm going to hand not just over to J.D. Vance, but somehow we're going to fiddle this so a Democratic president could come in, they wouldn't have better options either.
Yeah.
This is not a situation, Richard, where it all gets fixed. What President Trump has done is he has put us in, this word escalation trap that I laid out before the war. This is the trap for America. Yes, his presidency is probably over. I mean, I think Democrats can take some glee a little bit of that. They haven't had to do anything. I mean, they tried so hard, and they couldn't beat Trump at beating Trump. Nobody could beat Trump at beating Trump. And he's about to become the worst president beyond. It used to be Lyndon Johnson in the Vietnam War. So people say Jimmy Carter. No, it was Lyndon Johnson who was the absolute worst of the 46 other presidents. President Trump at Trump 47 is about to be the worst of the worst.
Yeah. Are you? Let me ask the question this way, and I know that I'm sitting here going, golly, we could just 2 hours of Professor.
Well, Richard, I really want to talk to your. I mean, look, I talk to as many audiences I can because I believe they deserve this kind of discussion where it's not just driven by who the politics. It's not the same old.
No.
And you let us have, and that's one of the reasons I really enjoy coming on your show. We really do have, and we've had these in other cases as well. This is much more extreme, but this is why it's your audience it's really important for people to understand. On my Substack, which has got something like 45,000 followers now, just over the blue in 30 days. I mean, think about that. It's unbelievable. Jeez. What I think is they're coming for is this. And what I think is happening is before the Substack, Richard, I could talk on X, okay? And there's a lot of followers there. But the bottom line is this is more like me talking to my classes at the University of Chicago, where I come in and literally I'm going to go teach in a few hours. And they're going to ask the same things, but this has always been true for 30 years.
Yeah.
Now there's 45,000 or so people, 45,000, who I get a chance to share some of this with. And they are, I mean, I can't even open my email anymore. That's gone.
Professor, let me ask you this question as we come to the end of this great segment with you. What do you see as the role of NATO, or where NATO has any potential of influence or effect in where we are right now?
So what is NATO? We need to understand it's not just U.S. and Europe allied. It's U.S. running the European militaries. NATO has a command structure, a military command structure similar to World War II, when Eisenhower was really dictating heavily, maybe not 100%, but 90%, what everybody was doing, the other countries as well. And so what you have with what's going to happen to NATO is it's breaking. And I think tonight there's at least a 50-50 chance President Trump's going to announce the death of NATO, that he's pulling out. And even if he didn't announce that, Richard, the idea that those European countries are going to obey an American general at this point, think about that. Are they really going to obey, let's talk about General Kane, after he has just gone through and done this?
Yeah.
I don't think that, regardless of what's on paper, this is just not realistic. So the future of NATO is over. This is over. This war we will blow by that discussion so fast. People won't even remember what was the day NATO died. We used to talk about that before this war. This war will have much, much bigger effects, and it will be like the end of the Cold War. The end of the Cold War, it took a few months before people realized it was affecting the trajectory of history. That's what's happening right now. And it's because, as I said, it's not just these tactics, and it's not even just the strategy of can we topple the regime. That's where we were on the first days of the bombing. Very quickly, once Iran took Hormuz, that meant 20% of the world's oil, and we can't get it back cheaply. There's no cheap way to get that back. This is a 6-month war. That's why the Pentagon went for $200 billion. The war is costing $1 billion a day. And so $200 billion, why is it $200 billion? Huh. They're expecting a 200-day war.
180 days is 6 months.
That's the first tranche of money.
Yeah. Sobering, but in a good way, because it's a call to action. What that action is from everyday folks that listen all over across the country and to our show, my show, and to the work that you do. I don't know what
that means is the elections in November will be the most dangerous in our lifetimes. There will be enormous political consequences here. And what this means is that we need to stand up, and I know this may sound trivial, we need to turn out in the biggest turnout that's ever happened in our lifetimes. No more of this 62% turnout stuff. And yeah, it's Tuesday. You got to get off. You're going to have, this is
take the day off now.
The election of a lifetime is coming, and I'm not running for office. It's not what's going. I'm just explaining. You say, what can people do? This is what they can do, Richard, and it really matters. You can see how, President Obama used to say elections matter. Well, my goodness, did 24 matter?
Yeah, here we are. Professor Robert Pape from the University of Chicago, thanks for hanging out with us. I know we'll have you back sooner than later. I appreciate your updates. Go teach that class. I wish I could hustle down to the U of C and slide in for it.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure to come on your show, Richard. So thank you so much, and hi to the repeat audience. So.
There you go. Thanks so much, Professor. Be well. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Talk to you soon. Guys, what an amazing show because of the guests that we have. Professor Pape, obviously John Parker earlier in the show, and my man Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And remember, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Loading the kids in the car, brokering peace in the back seat, mastering the snack handoff without even looking. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. We work with independent agents who keep insurance simple, so you can worry about more important things, like figuring out what's growing in that cup holder. That's simple human sense.
In Will and DuPage County, contact Fazio Insurance at 815-727-2611 or FazioInsurance.com.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications that top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious, with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. President Trump is planning to sit in on today's Supreme Court hearing on birthright citizenship. The order Trump signed on the first day of his second term declared that children born to parents who are in the U.S. illegally or temporarily are not American citizens. Many experts say Trump's executive order to create a nationwide list of eligible voters and to restrict mail-in voting violates the Constitution. AP correspondent Donna Warder has more.
On Tuesday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order that calls on the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to make a list of eligible voters from each state that could participate in a federal election. And the U.S. Postal Service would be barred from sending absentee ballots to those not on those lists. Arizona's Secretary of State, Adrian Fontes.
This really looks like the president is trying to pick his own voters. And that's a really, really disturbing development that we are seeing as these things continue to get pushed through.
Fontes says in his state, Arizona, more than 80% of voters cast ballots by mail.
The courts have repeatedly told this president that he does not have any constitutional authority to do things like this. And so he needs to just mind his own business, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm Donna Warder.
A Pakistani vessel carrying oil arrived at the southern port city of Karachi after transiting the Strait of Hormuz. A Karachi Port Trust spokesperson also said a second vessel reached the port via a different route. More Pakistani-flagged ships are expected this month to deliver much-needed oil from Gulf countries. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical artery for global oil shipments. Pakistan is also seeking to help end the conflict between the U.S. and Iran by encouraging both sides to return to negotiations. More information at apnews.com. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. Tiger Woods says he is stepping away from golf to seek treatment 4 days after his vehicle crashed in Florida and he was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence. In the NBA, Kevin Durant had 27 points to help the Rockets hold off the Knicks for a 111-94 win.
They got back into it, but we stayed poised that second quarter and was able to push the lead up. They cut to 10. We just kept pushing the lead up. We didn't let them get over the hump.
Baseball, Andrew Painter struck out 8 over 5 1/3 innings of one-run ball in his MLB debut for the Phillies. Yordan Alvarez homered for the second straight game in the Astros 9-2 rout of the Red Sox. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says he has no plans to scrap the Rooney Rule despite pressure from Florida's Attorney General. And in soccer, the United States men's national team dropped a friendly with Portugal 2-0.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty rain showers at times here for today with cloudy skies, a high into the mid-40s. Winds out of the northeast around 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. And for tonight, a chance for some rain showers and thunderstorms, cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Thursday, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy skies, high of 72. Friday, chance for rain late, a high of 69. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 37.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning attorney who drafts living trusts and wills for my clients. You have probably heard my ads here on WCPT for the last few years. Your fellow listeners, when we have completed their plans, say, I wish I had done this sooner. It wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it would be. We can complete your estate plan within 30 days or less. There are certainly decisions that need to be made, but my 30-plus years of experience will help guide you through this process. There may never be a perfect time to start, but whenever I'm asked when is the best time, my answer is always the same. Now is the best time, while it is on your mind. Being able to tell your family that you have an estate plan in place, that all the details have been taken care of, will be a great relief to both yourself and those you care for the most. Our initial consultation is without charge, and there is no obligation. My phone number is 847-996-0496, and my website is moretlawoffice.com, spelled M-O-R-E-E. I look forward to speaking with you.
When I first had my baby, I'd get comments all the time about how happy I must be. I remember thinking, I want to be happy. Why don't I feel that way? It was hard to admit that, even to my doctor. But I'm glad I did. She told me it was postpartum depression, and that is very treatable. These days, things are feeling good, and we're both happier about that. Right, little man? I'll take that as a yes.
Mental health care is working for Simone. See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Tell me how you're doing, really. Tell me that you missed the bus this morning, your rent's past due, and your stress level has skyrocketed. I'm here for you. To listen, not judge. To connect you to local mental health resources. No matter what you're going through, specialists like me from NAMI Chicago Helpline are here for you. Call or text Helpline to 833-626-4244. That's 833-626-4244.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming